Thanks for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. You can find us wherever you find podcasts or listen to music. When you have an opportunity, please give us a 5-star review, write a little note, tell us how we're doing. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep this thing going. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us at Facebook at Hidden Tracks. Instagram is at HiddenTracks99, and if you'd like to send in submissions or talk to us or give us any feedback about what we're doing, our email is myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. What's up, guys? I'm here with Justin from the awesome band out of Florida called GLAZED. How you doing today, Justin?
Yo, I'm doing fantastically well. Shane, thank you for having me on the podcast.
Well, it's
how are you?
I'm getting by, man. So it's all good, but it's our pleasure to have you here. Came across you, promoted Chillogy, your latest EP, on one of our segments. I think you guys are dope as hell, and I'm just excited to have you here and talk about music and what you're doing, man.
Yeah, when I saw that pop up on our Instagram, I was delighted. I was
delighted and confused.
I was delighted and confused. I was glazed and confused. I was a couple things, but most of all humbled that somebody out there in the universe wanted to promote our EP Chillogy.
Well, listen, there's got to be more people out there that are willing and wanting to do that because it is. Listen, you kick off right away. Cherry Ice right away when I heard that, all I had to do was just start sending it to people and say, check out this fucking track. It was straight hotness, and it made me want to reach out and have you on the show, because anyone that can create that and then diving back into all your other stuff, one of my big things that I've always say here is anyone can write one good song. It takes more than that to keep me engaged, and diving back through everything else you did, I was fully engaged, and that's why I have you here. So thank you for doing that stuff for me.
Oh, of course. I'm glad Cherry Ice could do that for you. That's that was the first song we wrote from Chillogy. And I can answer any questions you have about it, man.
Yeah, well, why don't you give us a little quick background of GLAZED and how this all came together? I mean, I know you've been around a lot longer than what your timestamps on your music says, but why don't you give us a little story about how you guys came together and started doing this?
Yeah, so many bands, I feel that are active right now that came from the fourth wave, revival emo scene, or that post Wonder Years pop punk scene. We started from the ashes of the bands that broke up, and everybody went to college, and those who stuck around, we kept playing music, and we're a band comprised of childhood friends, really, which works. It's a good dynamic to have. We started, I think, officially in 2013. So it's been a long time. I mean, almost 10 years, but we really we're having fun with it, and we still are. That's sort of the big motive behind why we're still doing this, and I think that comes across in the music that we write. We write it very much for ourselves. But anyways, yeah, we started in 2013, and we got the name Glazed because we were in another band that put a tape out called Glazed. We were called Locals back then. But yeah, Glazed is just this tesseract of a word that has so many angles to it. It could be an adjective or a verb, that it's versatile. And I feel a lot of the music we write, there's different sort of angles to it as well, whether
there
it be
there definitely is.
Right, and I'm a fan of storytelling, so I love watching a good movie or reading a book or something like that, and then you always kind of find something new a second time you revisit it, and that's how we kind of approach music. We like to tell stories, and maybe they're not necessarily true, but there's a start and there's a finish.
Never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Yeah, exactly. Who said that again? Someone did.
Someone smarter than me.
Yeah, exactly. They broke the code. Um, but yeah, I mean, we started when we were kids, basically. Shane, we were like, I mean, I think I was like 19 years old, and we did our first tour when I was 20. And we've been chugging along since then. We released an LP, released some singles, released some tapes, signed with a few labels, dropped them. Um, and we're still kicking. But like, I feel like we really didn't start trying to be a band until like 2017 or like 2018, like when we were like, okay, we need to do more than just like, we want to like break the glass ceiling, so to speak, of like, we want to connect with more people, beyond just our tiny hometown of Jacksonville, Florida. That's not tiny, that's there's a
Yeah.
lot going on here, but um, yeah, so we cherry ice. That was our like our ticket, maybe. Well, for our ticket to reach you. So
Well, it worked, man, and I mean that's the kind of stuff where I mean, for people to hear that, like I love that. You start off having fun and doing what you do because you're enjoying it, and then taking a sense of ownership of what you're enjoying for fun too, and trying to move on to something a little bit more outside of your comfort zone, which is important. And your comfort zone is Jacksonville, and trying to write something that maybe someone else can hear across the world and attach themselves to. And I mean, that's what it's all about, right? When you're creating something, yeah, you initially create it for yourself, but you don't know the impact it's going to have on someone else once it reaches them, and then it's no longer for you.
that's the, what, now that you're saying that, I like, that's the difference between the when we just did it for ourselves and when we tried to break the glass ceiling, we try to do it for others. The intention is different there.
Yeah.
Which is sick. We realize that it's way bigger than us. Like, we want to change the world, and I know that sounds corny, but like, we want to inspire other people to start bands and stuff like that, like just through our music. And that's like, a principle that's sort of a new thing that we have going on. But um it's so funny. Like, we were so in our comfort zone. Like, when we first started Glazed, it was just, I think, like, one of the reasons we were in the band was because we're friends with like a lot of the promoters in the city, and we got to like, we were lucky enough to like open for a lot of our favorite bands. And um and I feel like we were sort of like, we had our blinders on, of that. um but now we're, it's much more than that. Like I said, we want to connect with other people
Yeah, and to
and
to look
get
back
out
on
there.
that though, like to say, uh, was that sort of part of the process of like you got to open for a bunch of your favorite bands, and like is that what kept it going for a little bit? When you first started, it's like, wow, look at this, but you were just enjoying that moment instead of taking it full on serious.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, let's just say that we were like, you know, we're fat and happy, so to speak. With the shows that we were getting. And I think, like, for a long time we didn't ask ourselves why we are doing this. Like, why are we playing in a band at all? Which I'm sure if you get any musician in a room and ask that question, like, you're gonna have like deep conversations. Hearts and minds will connect, you know
Yeah, I
in
also think you're
ways.
going to get a lot of, you know what? That's a good question. Like, I don't, I, it's just one of those things. Like for a lot of people, it's just that love of music and creation. Like that's, I mean, what more
Right.
do you need, right?
I know. It's just sometimes you might need to remind yourself why,
Oh,
which is cool.
yeah. I mean, that's an everyday life cycle. Like you have to
Right.
remind yourself of certain things to get through every day. I mean, I know I try to. I'm not always successful at it, but it's just one of those things. You just got to be like, oh yeah, well look at this, and
Yeah. It's a way to keep yourself grounded, I guess,
yeah,
down to earth.
yeah. And when you're coming up with new music, and I mean, since there has been some spatial areas of EPs and singles and stuff, is there any like what are you doing in between that time? Are you concentrating on writing new songs? Are you working towards something new, or is it like, hey, you know what? I had this idea, and then you run with it, or is it a constant work thing for you?
It's a lot of like melodies and themes and subjects, that are stuck in my head that I'm juggling with trying to survive as like an adult, like just as a grown man out here, like on these streets. And a lot of what was written and what we released are, during our formative years of life. So like, we were going to college and we were trying to get full-time jobs and we were in relationships and, the music just, we weren't on like any sort of cycle or like we didn't really have any deadlines or anything. We just sort of like worked at our own pace, and it would be awesome if we could tour in the summer. That was really like our schedule. We were very much like, we were doing it for us and on our own time because it's fun, and because without it, like we'd get lost in trying to survive.
Yeah, and I mean, you starting back out in 2013 when you started to play together, and I mean, in a short period of time, just like anything in life, and especially technology, like a lot of things changed. Like, how do you find your creation and releasing of music now as opposed to the first tape you put out? Like, do you think it's become a little harder to get any traction or harder to try to play an algorithm or a cycle, or what are your biggest struggles right now?
Um, our biggest struggle is like honestly just having a voice in the room that the deciders are in, I'd say. People who are like, putting tours together or who are like curating like this and that together. Like we really, I feel like, don't have like a voice in that sort of realm, the industry realm, which, because we've been doing this for so long and we've made so many friends with bands and publicists and booking agents and yada yada. We've realized like what it takes to get to that level and to be represented like that. Um, so we're trying to figure that part out, the non-music part of being in a band. That's what we're struggling with. Um, as far as like creating content and releasing music and stuff like that, it's really just like we're being navigated by our feeling, you know. Um, we'll put out an album when it feels right, even though I necessarily like don't think that like we're in an album first kind of like market as far as like music listening goes.
Yeah.
But then I see like people just playing the singles game, which I think is what we're going to try to do. Like in 2023, like we have like a stockpile of songs, but we're not. It just doesn't feel like to release an album or anything like that. So we're very experimental, just as in our songwriting, Um, so our struggle is that like we take the path not taken, and maybe that's not like the right path, but it's the right path for us. Um, the road is winding, Shane.
Yeah, no. Listen, I like the way you said you're taking the right path for you. There's no playbook, and especially in today's day and age, where releasing music has become this crazy experimental way to try to figure out how to fit in some kind of medium to gain attention. Which for me as an older uh, man and navigating the music scene early on, like I was just told what to listen to by MTV and the radio. Like it was my exploration into having to go into a record store and have a cool dude behind the counter who's a couple years older than me saying, "Hey, check this out." And nowadays there's so much stuff out there, and we're trying here to curate that sound of what we feel needs a little bit bigger of a platform. And it's so hard to do that as well, because now we're in a medium where anyone can do what we do, but there has to be difference behind the spoken word that makes an effect.
Right. Like I feel like bands like today, I mean, if you want to be successful, I guess you have to wear so many different hats. Like you got to be aside from being like a kick-ass riffer, you got to be like a video editor and a comedian and a damn like social media curator and stuff like that. So I agree with you, man. I think I just had a conversation with somebody about how like Spotify playlists are like the new Fuse and MTV too. like the metal, the new metal playlist is the new Headbangers Ball.
Yeah.
As far as just um like gatekeepers like pushing things in front of people who are impressionable, which is whatever. Like there was a weird in between point, like I'm sure in between like cable TV and then like something on demand providing that for us. But which is why like it's so crazy. Like as a musician, I feel like I'll release something and then like I'll feel like saddened almost if it doesn't get picked up by anything, which is like, oh my god, why am I seeking validation from this shit? Like
It's human
I know
nature.
that yeah, I guess it is. I just don't want to belong. But like in that same breath, like I'm very proud of what we've done. Despite like who says what. So it's like I'm a very two sides of the coin type of guy. I feel like I'm going like back and forth, but a lot of the themes that my songwriting that tackles like is also like views subjects like that, which is cool. Balance.
Yeah. And I mean, you bring up that whole singles game. And one of the things that sometimes for me, when it comes to that singles game, like I feel that you already have enough out there in the stratosphere to play that singles game in 2023. One of my issues with the singles games is when I hear a song that I like and then I go to find, because I need to go into listening stuff, and then like they have 3 tracks over the past 3 years. And I'm just
Hmm.
like, "Well, okay. Well, and for me now, it's like now you're off my radar. Like I,
Right.
there's nothing else for me to attach myself to. And like if one of those other 2 tracks aren't, my style or what I'm hit me at that point, I'm just like, all right, well, there's that. So it's this whole crazy game in that you mentioned the Spotify playlist where I I get to the point like if I'll play a band and then how it
Hmm.
has that thing where it'll just run into something else. As soon as I hear something else, the first thing I do is like I have so many screenshots. So I just take a picture of it and I'm like, all right, when I'm not busy, now I'm going to spend time listening to that band. Now I'm going to spend time listening to that band. And I just run through it. And then I'm like, all right, these guys are dope. And then I get sad when I see like they have 12 listeners. What the fuck?
Right. Right. It's so funny because like I get so like or not me, like whatever, anyone, if you release like the single of your life, like and it doesn't get picked up like by anything to like get in front of people, like whatever. It's funny because like I'm someone who doesn't even really listen to playlists like that. So it's like I have no stake in like no skin in the game almost. Like that's pretty funny.
So, I mean, music in your life, when did it become a big part or like when did it change for you? I always go back to this moment in my life when I was a small child and the first thing I heard that changed my life and the way I thought about music. And then there was another point where I got to my teen years and got to go down rabbit holes. But like when you were growing up, was there a lot of music around you? Was there a moment where you remember you heard a song, whether it was good or bad, that just stuck with you and you were like, oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, actually, there's two like significant moments in my life that I was affected by music, and it kind of like it hooked me. The first was when I was like 10 or 11 years old. I'm 29 now, for context. But I was 10 or 11 years old. I was sleeping over at my friend Mike Gordon's house, and he had Toxicity by System of a Down, and like I heard track number 2, which is called Needles, and it's got this like sick bridge. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that
I
band, but
am.
it goes,
I am.
dude. So it goes, I'm sitting in my room with a needle in my hand, just waiting for the tomb of some old dying man. And dude, I had like, it just like fucking grasped me to the point where I was like, dude, music is so cool. That's the point where I stopped like I sort of actively started listening to music instead of just like listening to fucking like whatever was on the radio or like stuff like that. I was like, okay, there's bands that are heavy and I like them. So I need to like find out everything else. So like I borrowed Toxicity from him and then I learned like every song, and now they're like one of my favorite bands. So that's like my becoming like a fan of music origin story, was the bridge from the song Needles, by System of a Down. But when me, like a lot of people my age probably, I was inspired to pick up an instrument because I watched the movie School of Rock with Jack Black.
Wow.
I watched it, man, like also at a sleepover, like a birthday party sleepover, and my friends and I who went to the showing, we like all came home from the theater being like, "Yo, let's start a band." Like, I don't know who's going to play what we're going to be called, what we're going to write about. Hey, we didn't even ask ourselves that question. Why are we playing music? I just sort of like, we went for it. And then my parents bought me a first act guitar. I had School of Rock on DVD, and then I'd pause it at the times that Jack Black was teaching the kids how to play rock music. So like the Smoke on the Water, like Deep Purple, and then like the fucking Iron Man part. Like I would watch their fingers, and like that's how I learned how to play my first like couple, like I guess, phrases of famous songs. And then I just kept going. I was about 10, 10 or 11 years old at that point. So like being exposed to School of Rock, being exposed to System of a Down around the same part of my life, like just like fucked my life up. It cursed me.
Wow. So how long after getting that guitar did you form, and I'll say form because I'm not going to say start, because a band?
Right. I like, so the same group of fellas that I was with, who we started the band after we saw the movie, we ended up like, I think a year later, enrolling in our school talent show. And we played Simple Man by Leonard Skinner. So that was my first like band experience.
What was the name of that band? What was the name of that band?
It was called Band-Aid, because my fucking music teacher at the time was backstage, and we're about to go on in the auditorium in front of all our parents. And then he was like, "Oh, so what's the band name?" And we're like, "Yeah, we don't know. Let's just say like unnamed." And then he was like, "How about Band-Aid?" And then he just went up and introduced us like that. So Band-Aid. I was like, dude, I wish I could have stopped him and come up with something cooler, but whatever.
Well, what was the first band name you came up with?
The first band name I came up with was called, oh God, I think it was called, forgive me, I'm digging through the labyrinth of my mind right now. I think we were called, oh my God, give me a second. Give me a second. You might have to edit this shit because this just caught me off. You know what? I'm going to go with This Changes Everything.
Did you just make that up now?
No, I swear. Right. This Changes Everything. And then we had another band called 2 Years and Running, and it was like we would swap like whatever we were in the mood for. And it was just like MySpace. Like I'd like put my acoustic guitar up to like the iMac like built-in mic, and we would record like acoustic covers. Like we'd cover like The Format, like She Doesn't Get It. We'd cover like The Starting Line, which is where we got This Changes Everything from.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So like, yeah, This Changes Everything, which is pretty cool. Yeah. And then I actually like ended up using This Changes Everything in a lyric that Glazed has, sort of as like a nod to my past.
Little hidden nods everywhere.
Our music is full of hidden nods.
Inside jokes. You just write inside joke songs.
No, absolutely. Then it's like I feel like that's what Blink-182 did a lot.
Well,
and
yeah.
It's like, then it just became part of like American culture, or actually worldwide culture.
Now, after playing at a talent show, one of the things is like, when was the first time you stepped out in front of like strangers to play music for the first time? Besides that, like high school, I don't consider those strangers because they're just kids that are going to make fun of you regardless, and you know who they are. But when you first played in front of strangers,
the first time that we played like that, I was in a band that played a legit show. It was also, it was with the band Us Versus All. That's what we were called back then. I was like 14 or 15, and we played a show at this venue called The Pit in Jacksonville. And honestly, like 7 people came, And I remember like the headliner of the show who like we begged to like be like, oh, dude, please headline the show. Like it's our first show. I remember they kept asking and asking like, oh, you guys have people showing up, right? You guys have people showing up, right? And we were like, yeah, 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 whatever. I don't know. Like we're just an electroacoustic band. Like I have an Ovation guitar. Anyways, we ended up playing for maybe seven's generous. I'd say four people. And then like, dude, I remember just getting this talking to by the sound engineer. Her name was Amy. And she just like, dude, she like lifted my spirits after that. She was kind of like, you know what? This happens. It's your first show. Like, go get them again. Like, don't give up. And I hope she's still around, man, because like I've never forgotten that conversation. Um, because every show, like after that, that's the kind of mentality I have, and I still have that, and I'm sure a lot of people do. But it's like, whether it's four people or like 40 or 400, like, I'm gonna go like 110%. And I learned it like, this weird like stoic way that night.
Yeah, and see that's an awesome thing, and for people to hear too is, everything's not going to be perfect. I've had many instances where I've seen a band perform in front of 300 people, and then I've seen that same band a year later perform in front of just me. And just because people don't know them in the areas, where I originally saw them was their hometown, and then I'm seeing them somewhere else, and as soon as I see that they're still bringing it to me and the bartender, I'm like, that's that right there. That's what it's about. Doesn't fucking matter if anybody's there. Play your fucking songs the best you can. Don't mail in anything, because a lot of the times I always say you don't know who that one person is.
Oh, the power of one is very powerful, Shane. You're the power of one right now with the podcast, helping me get on there, get out there. You're putting me on. You're right though, man. It's like humbling when you're playing like in front of a small crowd, but like honestly, it comes down to like the why are we doing this? Like we're doing this to have fun. Why am I going to get upset that like I'm playing in front of a small crowd? Like it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, you're still playing, and you're doing what you love, and why you started to do this was for the love of music and to be with your friends, right? So it doesn't change no matter how many other people are in the room. Well, it shouldn't.
And if you think you're making money off punk rock music, then you need to sit down and like you need to have a coming to God moment with me where I can tell you that that's not going to be the case.
That's some sage advice for people out there listening to this that are thinking about starting a band.
Right. Hey, do it, but just know what you're up against.
Now, from playing your own first show, what was the first show you ever went to? Good or bad, could have been dragged to by your family, but what was the first live concert experience you had?
So in the 6th grade, my friend Ashley Keene invited me to her birthday party, and it was like a select group of people from my class, and we all went. I felt so honored because of that never really happened to me. And we went to see Simple Plan, Good Charlotte, and Reliant K play at the Veterans Memorial Arena in Jacksonville, and it was insane. Like her dad came with us. Like I got to see Reliant K. Like in like this was probably like 2005, 2006. They covered the Office theme song. I remember. And then Simple Plan was amazing, and then Good Charlotte was so sick because like they were like emo to me back then. Like it was part of that one album cycle that they did, where they all like started putting eyeliner on.
Yep.
I forget what it's called, but I know how the songs go. But yeah, that was like my first concert experience, and it was sick.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's this little bit of thing that I don't know if I've talked about it before. Like I was never like a Good Charlotte fan, and I'm
fair enough.
I'm well older than you, but there was this article I read in a book about Joe Madden. Somebody asked him why he always wears his own T-shirt, right? And my thinking a lot when bands are starting out and you're traveling and stuff, you don't have a lot of clean clothes except for when you're selling your own merch. So maybe he's just wearing it because, and he had the greatest line in the world that I never, approached things a certain way. He goes, listen, I'm in a band, and a band is, you're basically your own company. He goes, and I've helped create a brand for my band. So I'm going to wear it with pride wherever the fuck I go. And I don't care what anybody says. And I was like,
Hey, respect, honestly.
yeah,
Like, what his brand was called Made, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I remember that. I mean, dude, shoot, I'm not gonna lie. I think it'd still be clean if I saw a Made shirt out in public today.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I like that philosophy. I wear glazed shirts definitely. Like if I'm going out like to the bar, like whatever. I think like I always see like the turnstile dudes wearing their own shirts, and
Yeah.
I'm like, that's how I justify it in my mind. I'm like, oh, like these guys don't give a fuck. I'm not gonna give a fuck. Like like, and I think I read something about like I think Tyler the Creator tweeted something about how like if you're doing music, like you should just like nonstop grind. And what a better way to grind like in a passive way, like wearing a t-shirt. And a t-shirt's very fucking powerful,
Yeah.
you know. A t-shirt like culturally like will like make waves and it'll inspire change and it'll pique curiosity and so Joel Madden and I don't know if he's like I don't know. I haven't checked on him in a while, but that seems like a good philosophy that I share. I don't know if that also makes me a narcissist, but I really don't give a fuck.
No, and that's the thing too. It made me feel different about, I go to, I mean, the list is continuous of how many shows I go to a month, but it got me to the point where I just wear hidden track shirts now. I'm just like,
Hell yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm doing something, whether or not I'm there to see a band I may have already had on the show or other bands I may promisingly want to have on the show. It piques that interest and it just gets the word out there a little more. And I always think like sometimes it's like the old school days for me when somebody had a button or a patch of a band that you didn't know but you saw it and the first thing you did was go look it up.
Right. Like I feel like like when I was younger, I remember seeing like a job for a cowboy t-shirt and being like, "Oh, dude, that is so sick." And they became a band I listened to back then. It and that's how it works. It's also like a beacon of like connectivity, I think. Like if you're wearing a shirt in public with intention, like hopefully someone else, like another one of your tribe, so to speak, will like connect with you and you'll make a new friend.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, I mean, recently at a show and back to back weekends of shows, and as many people as I saw at the show the weekend before, I see there, and they're wearing the shirt from the weekend before that they just bought at the show this weekend. Like, and it's just like, what's up, man? Yeah, no, I was there. I saw you there. What's going on? And it's that whole little community of music that
Right.
you, is very, there is judgment, but I think there's only judgment when you're with your friends. But just like anything
Right.
else, as I've said it here a million times, when you're at a show, you're all friends. No one's a stranger. You're all there for the same reason. They're just friends you haven't met yet because you're all there for the same reason. So it's just
Yeah. This scene that we're in is too small for us to not be, in my opinion.
absolutely.
We're so niche that it's like, we might as well just like maximize the potential of positivity here. Like, why be miserable? I also want to give a shout out, like because we're just on the topic of Good Charlotte, and I know you said you didn't like him, but like I also think like I recently discovered that band put a collab shirt out with the with the brand Bape. If you're familiar with them, it's like a hype beast brand, bathing ape. Um, it's like a $200 T-shirt, but I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I'm not a $200 t-shirt guy, so I can't follow. I don't follow that stuff.
Yeah, it's got to be like fucking life changing for me to do it, but that is life changing for me.
Band merch, it's almost like I'll pay whatever when I'm there. It's one of those
Yeah, yeah.
moments where like, yeah, no, I'm buying this. The show I was just at, I literally almost bought every shirt from the one band that I was there to see because my favorite band, so I couldn't not,
Who's your
support it.
favorite band?
Elliot.
Okay, yeah. I've seen them in the headlines recently.
Yeah, they basically, hopefully it's not their final show ever, but got back together after 21 years, played eight or nine shows, and was at the last one that they did before they were moving on again. So it was, and I also was lucky enough to have two of the guys on the show, so that was my
Right.
moment.
I also think that like sweet band merch is related to like me being like blindly interested in your band.
Yeah.
If you got cool shirt designs, like I'm like it's like, oh shit, like all right,
It's got to
cool. I know where you're at.
Yeah, there's a lot of ththings too. Like I own band T-shirts of bands that I went to see, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not a huge fan, but that shirt's fucking wicked cool. Like I'm
Yeah. Seriously. I feel like we're in a very like fashion over passion like era,
yeah,
like just in general, like in society, which is fine and all, but like we take that approach to making our shirts like something that we'd wear, just like our music.
Now, after being invited to a show, what was the first show you got to pick to go to?
The first show that I got to pick to go to. Okay, so like my first show, dude. Oh my god, it's so important that you point out that like you distinguish two of those like intentions, because the first show that I actually went out of my way to go to was at this venue called Jackrabbits. It must have been in like 2008. It was Play Radio Play, Megan Dia, the Spill Canvas, and this band called Treaty of Paris that opened. And dude, I mean, it was a life changing moment for me as well. Like I had loved Play Radio Play from MySpace, and Megan Dia was awesome. I saw them at the Panera Bread near the venue, like right before the show started, and I remember that was my chance to tell them that I was fans of them. Um, and I remember being too shy to ask the first band to sign my poster. So my friend forged their signatures later that night on the poster, and I actually still have that poster in my room.
That's
Like I want to get it framed one day, just because it's like such a memento of my life.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a great show. And my mom dropped me off, and like I remember like just the line outside. Dude, my mom's this Filipino small woman, and she's like, she's like protective of me.
Mm-hmm.
So she's looking at this line of like scene kids, and it must have been just very like intimidating, to the point where like they didn't just drop me off. They had to like go past the venue, scope it out, turn around, then drop me off,
Smothers. Yeah, no, I
Yes,
get it.
yes.
That's all. Do you have a favorite? Would that rank up there? But do you have like a favorite show that you ever were at that you're just like, that was the pinnacle for me?
God, my favorite show I've ever been to. Um, you know, I'll say like my best experience at a show was probably at Wrecking Ball in Atlanta, Georgia in 2017. It wasn't just one specific like showcase or anything. I just saw so many of my favorite bands in one day. I saw like The Promise Ring and American Football and Trapped Under Ice and the Gorilla Biscuits and Quicksand and like Tiger's Jaw and Motion City Soundtrack. Like just like legends, like
Yeah, that's a wow.
colossal names.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you just went down a wow rabbit hole of like all in one day to see stuff like that. I mean,
yeah, the Bouncing Souls were there. A Turnstile was there, an early Turnstile. Foxing, like, dude, it was just like the things that I was interested all wrapped into one in Atlanta, Georgia. Deer Hunter, and I just remember like feeling so grateful that music like in this scene existed, and that the Bayside was there. I'm just like I'm having these like random like names like flash, like these bands were all there. Um, I was like I was a member of like the press team. I had like a photo pass for this like magazine I was interning at. So I was able to like take cool pictures. And it was just a wild night to remember. And it was also one of the last shows held at the event space that this venue called the Masquerade was in, because the property it was on, fell victim to the gentrification of the Beltline. That's the big like sort of like multimodal transportation thingy in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
So it was
I
just
remember the Masquerade. Yeah.
yeah, so it was like a sign, like a tearful sign off that was like a tear of sorrow and joy, both
Yeah.
at the same time.
And that's like that kind of thing too, all in one day. Like the old with the new is always something that like I love to see, because Foxing was very young at that time, and like those bands that were coming up that have made their mark now with the bands that had done it before, the Promise Ring and Grill Biscuits, Quicksand. I'm going to see Quicksand in a couple weeks here, and
Nice.
those are, I always love seeing that, paying it forward, and always having the young with the new bands, and just being like, yeah, this is what it's all about. Like, bring these up. Promise Ring, one of those bands to me that it always was like, I can't believe they never fucking made it, and the bands that made it did. Like, it's one of those things to
Yeah.
me that like that's what I get angry about music sometimes. It's like,
I feel like the Promise Ring. I think I read they were like touring with like Fugazi back in the day.
oh yeah, and it was because that was the scene, man, and
Mhm.
it was early on. Like, people talk about that. I grew up in that first wave of emo in the '90s, mid to late '90s, and
I'm jealous.
watching those bands and seeing it, and the fact that like no one really from that first wave broke.
Yeah.
I was just like, it was disheartening. So when like these other bands were coming up and breaking, and everybody's like, "Oh, you got to check out this new music. It's so good." I'm like, "No, man. No. No, it's not how this goes, and but I've had those conversations with people because of different age differences, and who grew up in what wave, and who's a part of certain waves, and the fact that it's broken out into waves too fucking bothers me a little bit. But it's just like, it's one of those things where I just look back on it, and it's like, let's give some love to those who came before you. And hearing people talk about bands back in the day, and stuff, and watching them come back together, for me, was a big deal. Back to back weekends, I get Sunny Day Real Estate and then Elliott, like two of the
Nice.
pivotal bands I believe in. That E's not a bad word, but that emo scene
Hmm.
that was fucking just killer back in the day, that shaped my life forever.
Yeah, I like the me discovering like a lot of the first and second wave bands. Like it's so funny because I was when I was in high school, I was playing in like pop punk bands, and like um I even before then, like sort of the neon pop punk bands, if you're familiar with that wave of pop punk music. Um, but I remember being at a Wonder Years show, and they covered "Holiday" by the Get Up Kids, and the promoter who was watching them, I remember he like nudged me and was like, "Yo, like listen to the original because this is a great song." And dude, ever since that moment, I must have been like 16 or 17, but once I discovered like something to write home about, like it just opened the floodgates of music for me. Um, I started to like dig in and like find. That's how I found like Jawbreaker and Lifetime, which is like a big part of why I love New Jersey music is Lifetime. Saves the Day, of course, like just Dashboard bands like that from that like that era. I guess Vagrant Records
Yeah.
is the record label that was the king of that stuff at the time. I always feel like I was born too late too. Shane, I'll be honest with you. I should have been 18 years old in 1999.
Yeah, but here's the deal. Here's what's great about music. It's still there. So it's,
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like sometimes I feel like I should have been born in the '40s, because I just love the old jazz sounds and the old, big band stuff. But I'm glad I was born when I did, because I got to experience so many different types of music, and watch this, just watch everything grow, and see how that, the foundation, those roots were made, and watch everything branch off into other things, and watching things, and knowing that I got to be there, and have a little bit of a part of some of the stuff, and hearing it when it first came out. Like, I almost at times I'm like, yeah, man, like being able to go back and be like, I remember the day I got that record, didn't know who they were, listened to it, and then they're my favorite band. And it's like going back to those moments and talking to a younger generation nowadays. When, you know, I went out to Denver to see Jawbreaker, Descendants, Sam I Am, and Face to Face. And
Nice.
I'm talking to a guy sitting next to me, and I'm just like, and we're talking about Jawbreaker. He's like, yeah, man, like, I don't know, like, what it was growing up. He's like, but Dear You, when it came out, he's like, it was good, but it wasn't my Jawbreaker. I'm like, yeah. I go, but you do realize that's the first emo record ever.
Right.
And he's like, no. I was like, yeah, think about it. I'm like, that and Diary are by Sunday Day Real Estate. Those are the first two emo. Like, that's the sound where emo came from, and Jawbreaker was a huge part of it. And we were sitting there talking about bands that he loved. I'm like, and if it wasn't for that album that you said you didn't like, there might not be what you like, you know?
I remember I watched the Jawbreaker documentary, and I was so fascinated that they had such like hate from the critics and the fans after they put out that one record, which I think is the one you're talking about.
Yeah,
The one that,
it was,
yeah.
yeah, they, right after that, they were done. And, you know, but I mean, it goes to show like where Blake was going, because then he starts Jets to Brazil, and like that kind of kept that sound going that he was looking for. And it just, you know, it wasn't 24-hour Revenge Therapy or Unfun or, you
Right.
know, the records that people were all into when they absolutely loved Jawbreaker, because that was that hard punk scene at the time when Green Day was
Mm-hmm.
still coming up, and they're, you know, everyone's opening for Bad Religion at that time and trying to get their name out there. And then they went and did something totally different that I remember when it came out, and I was like, wow, this is fucking different. And then I sat back and
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I really like this though.
I'm, and you know what? I'm part of the, I guess, like I listen to music that's like, you know, way older than me, but like through cover songs from the younger generations of bands, I'm so glad that they covered the songs that they did, because I was able to like just like open this like new chapter of my music sponge capable, like whatever. I was like a sponge for music. It was a new chapter for me. And like I'm actually realizing now, talking about this, is I discovered Jawbreaker through Set Your Goals, who covered Do You Still Hate Me by them. And like yeah, they're like the torchbearers, man. And like now I'm like, dude, now Glazed, like we need to cover like a song.
And you got to find what's right. And you can, a lot of times when you hear covers of songs of bands covering bands that they absolutely love, when they do it justice, you can tell how much that band meant to them. You know, I've heard cover songs by bands that are like covering a song to cover a song. I'm like, yeah, no. And then I hear bands cover a song. I'm like, that's how much they love that band.
Right. And yeah, you can tell when something sounds genuine. I have like, I feel like I have a radar for it as well. And that Set Your Goals cover, that Wonder Years cover, they sent me down that pipeline. And it's funny because like, I mean, like I told you before, like I love the Jersey sound so much that I put it as a lyric in one of our songs in Chillogy. Um, we have a song called Still Glazed.
Yep.
And one of my lyrics is, "We're still here, the dudes who fell in love with Jersey sound." And it's just like it's awesome to like to have a group of friends in real life who like all also gravitate towards that sound of like that wave of specific emo.
We appreciate it. There was a lot of great bands that came out of the Jersey scene that a lot of people may not have heard of or known, that were, I mean, they were groundbreaking bands, and they just never got that full big exposure that they should have. And then, you know, other bands who were good, I mean, they're good bands, but other bands that broke through was just like, we would sit back and watch and just be like, I don't I don't get how that's what hit. But
Right. I mean, hey, just a few like off the top of my head, like that band I Call Fives is from Jersey. There's that band Man Overboard. I mean, of course, like Saves the Day and like Lifetime. Dude, I always come back to Lifetime, Shane.
You gotta, man. I have my my Lifetime t-shirts that I still have.
I have one Lifetime shirt that I found like just secondhand. through a friend. But even in my vocals, I feel like Airy Katz, like the singer, like
Yeah,
I try to like manifest that like lazy lip sort of vibe. Like, and you know, dude, like I said, there's hidden gems or there's hidden nods in all glazed music, and that's like one of them. I feel like, you know, we wear our influences on our sleeves.
that's all. Now we're speaking about bands, and you just came back to Lifetime a couple of times. Like, is there a band in your life that you think you've taken the most from, or a band in your life that has just never let you down, and you always turn to it when you need something, and you just know that when you're going to hear it, it's going to be good?
Oh, definitely the Get Up Kids. I'm a fan of their entire discography, even though like the later stuff maybe gets mixed reviews. It gives me like a feeling, you know, that I can always rely on, even their new stuff.
I
The
thought
Get
it
Up
was
Kids, I
great. I
think,
thought
does it best.
Problems was great. You know, it didn't.
Yeah,
You know, it got some like pushback, but again, it's one of those things when you're in a band for so long, and I mean, yeah, Matt went and did his New Amsterdam stuff and all these other things, and but
Terrible Twos,
yeah, and there was
yada.
was Blacklight Pools or
Oh, Blackpool Lights, dude.
Blackpool Lights.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean
I'm a fan of the Blackpool Lights,
that
dude.
fucking one record was fucking fire, and I was like, holy shit.
You're not the lucky
Yeah.
one. Dude, when we were recording our LP in Valdosta, the guy who recorded it, his name's Lee Dias. Like he must have been just so like blindsided because we were just a bunch of like 19, 20-year old kids who like wanted to sound like the Get Up Kids, and he was just probably like, "Damn, like how the fuck do you even know who they are?" Um, so he showed us Blackpool Lights, and we were just like blown away by that band.
Yeah, and listen, I remember the minute somebody handed me 4 Minute Mile, like at a record store when it came out, and
I'm jelly.
they're
I'm
like,
jelly.
check this out. I'm like, oh, I think I have this. I think I have an EP of them. And he's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, well, the basketball guys. And he's like, yeah, that's the same band, but this is their full length. And I listened to it, and then like 2 weeks later, I saw him in Skaters World. So it was,
Like, uh, yeah, we were lucky enough to play a show with the Get Up Kids. I think in 2019, in Gainesville, and dude, it was just like the best experience of my life. Like, it was full circle. Like, my sister was there. My little sister. I got into the Get Up Kids. She's 5 years younger than me, so I'm like tainting her and her friends' music taste by like being like, "Hey, listen to this Kansas emo." Um, but we, you know, it's so funny. Like they were playing their new stuff off of like Problems, and they were also playing stuff off 4 Minute Mile, and dude, it was so refreshing to hear everybody know the words to for both songs.
yeah.
I'm sorry, not both songs, but like all the.
Yeah, so the Get Up Kids were the last show that I saw before COVID hit. It was Get Up Kids and Dashboard Confessional, and then the very next day the world shuts down.
Damn, was that on like? Oh my gosh. Okay, what a lineup, dude. Those are two of my like favorite bands of all time.
Yeah, and I feel bad. I've said it before, but I actually walked out during Dashboard.
No.
But I'll tell you why. It's not because Dashboard was bad. It was because I was feeling weird in the city already, because
Sure.
it was like it was a ghost town in like when I went in. So that was already made me feel weird. And then second, it's a small venue, and every single person is singing the song at the top of the lungs. I could barely hear Chris singing. And I was just like,
Oh wow.
I'm in for an hour of karaoke, and I can't handle this. And I'm like, no one was doing that for the Get Up Kids, and they just fucking blew the roof off the place. And
Oh my
it was
gosh.
just like, it was weird. It was like, 300 people at the top of their lungs singing every Dashboard. And I'm like, for fuck's sake, people, you can love a band. I'm all for that. But you paid money to see this guy do what he does, and no one can hear him. And I was just like,
Ugh.
you know what? I think I'm going to check out of here. I already feel weird. So, and then, yeah, literally the next day, it's like New York City shut down. And I was like,
I,
okay, there it is.
I didn't realize like how big Dashboard was at their prime until I like read this book about emo music. Like they were in the author of this book called like I think it's called like Teens Angst like emo music or something like that. but they talk about how Chris Carrabba was like being like set up to be like a Justin Bieber type like popularity, but it just like didn't happen.
I mean, they were huge. I mean, they were selling out. Like they sold out the Barclays Center in New York City, like at their peak. And
Golly.
it's huge. They really, really big, and it was honestly, it was a Spider-Man soundtrack. That was it.
Oh, dude, come on.
Yeah.
Glazed. Okay. I'll say this on the topic of covers. Going back to it and keeping the torch alive, Glazed we used to cover Vindicated a lot, a lot. And the moment that I felt the most validated by covering it was like we played a show with this band called Snowing.
I
They're
know
like a
them.
big
Yeah. Yeah.
the big emo band.
Yep.
Like we're playing with their singer John Gom. I guess he was in Florida for something. Um, and then he just like we're playing Vindicated in this Tallahassee basement, and he just comes running down like the stairs so fast from the living room, and just like he looks thrilled that we're covering Vindicated. And then I remember we stopped playing like at the end of the song, and then he was like, "Why are you covering Vindicated?" And I was like, I'm being heckled right now. I don't know if I want to answer you, but like at the same time, because it fucking rocks.
Yeah.
It unites us.
Yeah. Listen, again, a good song's a good song, man. Doesn't matter what the fuck it is. It's a good song.
We have a song on Chillogy called Holographic Trap Card.
Yeah, the
and
last song, right?
The lyrics, yeah, exactly, the last song. So if you read the lyrics, like there's a line that goes, um, "Goodbye honeymoon. I clocked out to take up less room, and now the salt water the salt water that wells up in your eyes can break to waves." And dude, that's just pure dashboard worship. That's the Chris Carrabba in the soup that I'm sipping.
That's awesome. Now, speaking of your songs, if someone never heard of your band, Glazed, and you were just talking to them like, yeah, I'm in a band, and they're like, oh yeah, what do you sound like? What song of yours would you play for them?
Oh my gosh, I'd probably play them like these days. I would play them the song "Doomed World Keeps Spinning," which is like that's like my my final like breath to the world. It's a single we released like in 2021, but I'd play them that song because it's so all over the place and it's so like worship of our influences. And like I'm sure, as you know, like dude, it's so hard to explain like what kind of music you play to like people who don't
Yeah.
really like know
Yeah.
our world, this thing of ours, as they say in The Sopranos. But I play them the song "Doomed World Keeps Spinning."
Yeah, and that's why I asked the question, because it's always one of those things like, what song would I play for someone from a band versus the person who wrote the music? Because, and again, a lot of the times you're going to judge the person you're looking at when they ask you to play it for them. You're just going to be like, all right, maybe they're going to like this. But I do like to find out, like, what is it and why would you play it for them? And you just gave a great answer to that question. So.
It's like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna save my breath trying to explain what we're about. Like, listen to this song, and honestly, I'm gonna buckle you up before I put the headphones on, and after you listen to it, take a lap and come back to me. Like, it's a story. It's like there's a start and a finish, and it's like it's an adventure to listen to that song, honestly. But it sounds nothing like Angels and Airwaves. The adventure. No, it's not an adventure like that, but. Yeah, that's the song I'd pick.
Nice. All right. You have 5 minutes left to live. A meteor's going to crash into the earth. And you have to listen to one song. What song do you listen to?
Oh, God. Honestly, I'm going to go like something like very sad and depressing. So I'm going to go Katie's Song by the Red House Painters. Even though that song is like 7 minutes long, I'm just going to listen to it and let the fucking earth take me.
Mad love for throwing out the Red House Painters. Mad love.
Dude, hey, come on, slowcore. Mm-hmm. That's OG.
Yeah, that is OG. That's why I'm like, that's what I love to find out.
Yeah, I recently got into them, like probably in the last few years. But that song just is so like somber, and it puts me in such a mood that like I could be listening to that song and just close my eyes and just like, hey, I'm ready for the big nap.
Awesome. Now, speaking of off the wall music, is there something that you listen to that people would be really surprised you get a lot of enjoyment out of, like K-pop or something?
Um, you know, I growing up, I loved like bands like Hello Goodbye and like A Rocket to the Moon and like I mean, I like Aqua, like I like dancey, like Barbie girl,
Yeah.
best friend, like type of stuff. I love power pop stuff. Um, I recently started listening. My partner introduced me to a whole world of music. Like ever since I started dating them, and it's like this genre called breakcore. If you've ever heard of it, it's like it's just like amen break drums and like wild violent samples. Um, that's I think like I like to listen to it now. So like I think that's something that people would be like, oh, that's so weird because you're listening. Like I could have Katie's song and then I could have a song by this band Machine Girl right after, just like that's like a microphone up to a snare drum being beat against a fucking like metal cabinet. You know what I mean?
and,
Like
and I mean, you bring up breakcore, and that's where one of my biggest things nowadays is trying to figure out what genre is what and what fits into where, and
mhm,
like that whole, because there's so many subgenres nowadays that it's
mhm.
a lot of the times I talk to people like, no, we're indie or alternative. Like that's the loop they get it to. Like I I think I know what you guys are. What would you consider yourself, genre labeling yourself? What you would be?
Shane, I'll be honest. There's imposter syndrome when it comes to how do I present myself in this fifth wave emo world? If you go to the website, to the listeners, if you go to the website isthisbandemo.com and you type in Glazed, they will say that we are not an emo band. They say that we're a punk rock band or pop punk band. And I feel like ever since that moment of me trying to like prove what the fuck we are, like I'm just settling on pop punk music because yeah, I'm inspired by like 3,000 different things. System of a Down's my favorite band. I listen to breakcore. I'm listening to Katie's song Before I Die from a Meteor. Um, like it doesn't matter. Like I'm just gonna call what we're doing pop punk just to be consistent. And you know that's the first genre that we fell in love with, anyways. Um, so I'm someone who like, and I'm also someone Shane who like I can't stand a lot of pop punk bands, and I'm sorry to be a hater, but like there's just this a wave of pop punk music that I think is so corny and like cheesy and like predictable. Like but I wear pop punk as like a badge.
Yeah. Well, it's a Blink syndrome. There's so many people came up listening and loving and Blink being their band
Hmm.
that, it no longer becomes an influence on
Right,
them. It
right.
becomes their identity, especially when creating music. And that's some of the times I see with some pop punk stuff. It's okay to have your influences, but once those influences become what you are, then you're no longer, now you're just a cover band.
I also recently saw that like Joyce Manor, the band Joyce Manor, like they call themselves pop punk, and I'm like, oh wow, that's so brave of y'all.
Yeah.
And you know it's just like, and we, the pop punk music, man, it gets such a bad rap. Like of course, like oh, like underage like girls or like whatever, like oh, like creeps in pop punk, but like god damn it, dude, I'm dying on the hill of me being like, hey, not everyone is like fucking like that,
Yeah. And listen,
we
a pop punk hook is fucking amazing.
definitely, and Chillogy, our last EP, dude, that's a pop punk album, that's for sure. But it's like it's we use the same bag of tricks from pop punk, but we try to put a fresh spin on it to like separate us, you know.
Yeah. And you do, once you get into the album, you definitely do.
And we try to be unpredictable with it. We don't want to do the same things that every pop, like the same four chords. You know what I mean? The four
Yeah.
chords that like everyone uses. We try to like flip, turn inside out, throw it into the lake, fish it back up those four chords, and like have a fresh take on that stuff. We're a pop punk band, to answer your question.
All right. After all that, they're a pop punk band, guys. There you go.
I know. I had to talk myself through it.
I totally understand. But listen, we've been here for a while. I don't want to take
Oh, I
up
know.
a lot much any more of your time. Before we move on to the last segment that we do here, where you guys first appeared, I'd love to give you an opportunity right now to tell everybody how to find everything that you guys are doing, what you have coming up, if there's anything to look forward to in the coming next year. What is it you're excited about? So just now's the time to throw out all those crazy wicked fucking handles that you have to for socials and all that good stuff. Tell everybody how to find everything you're doing.
Yeah, so anyone listening can find us on social media at GlazedFL on everything. We're on like all the streaming stuff. We're on Bandcamp, glazedfl.bandcamp.com. We're gonna keep putting music out. We're just gonna keep going. This is all we know. We're gonna play Fest this year, which I'm really looking forward to. I mean, the lineup this year is insane. It's Fest 20. Thank you, Tony, for having us. Um, Playing Fest was like one of the only goals that we had when we started Glazed, and it took us like 5 years to fucking prove ourselves to get on it. So
Yeah,
we are
congrats.
humbled, dude. Thank you. We're ready to play Fest, and then I'm not gonna lie, we low key, it's a secret, but I'm gonna say it now. But we've hired our first ever booking agent who wants to work with us, which is like that's glorious.
Awesome.
So in 2023, you're gonna, if you're in places like the true South, like Texas or like the Midwest, or hopefully like we're coming to Jersey and we're gonna make our pop punk pilgrimage to Jersey and New York City and like Philly, all up and down the East Coast. Hopefully in 2023, that's what our plans are, and then we're gonna release just some singles. We got like 3 of them right now that I'm really proud of, and we're gonna just have it back to basics and like I'm so excited to put new music out.
Awesome, man. Well, congrats and good luck with everything. And you come up to Jersey, you got a
Dude,
fan. So
if I'm coming up to Jersey, I need to see the New Brunswick basement Lifetime's talking about.
that's where it all started for all of us. New
Like
Brunswick basement.
you're taking me in, I'm kissing the floor.
There's also a pretty cool bar there owned by Mikey Erg too. So it's
Oh, cool.
so yeah, there's some cool places still down there. So
Yeah, I heard the I Am the Avalanche guy has a bar too. Dude,
yeah,
I'm coming to Jersey
awesome.
or New York, whatever.
Awesome, man. Well, here we are. We're coming into our final segment where you guys appeared. It is our weekly threes. Maybe pull up your phone, find it out, because the weekly threes is 3 things you're listening to right now that you'd like people to check out.
All right, so I'm going to start us.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I won't lie, Shane. I've prepared for this moment because I've listened to hidden tracks.
You son of a bitch, you cheater.
hey, I gotta be prepared. That's how my mind works. But these all came from my Spotify. The first band that I've been listening to, they're called Jer, which is like also known as Skatoon Network. Jer let us play some shows with them, and I've been listening to their album Bothered Unbothered. It's a ska record that's like incredible. It's the first ska record since Losing Streak that I've really like sunk my teeth into because it's piqued my interest. Um, it's the kind of music that's written with intention to make the world a better place, and I think if you listen to the songs, like you'll recognize that, and it's something that I think is like lacking in music these days. The question, why am I writing this, is answered in Bothered Unbothered by Jer.
Nice.
The second one, it's a band that I just stumbled upon. They're called Band Argument, and they have a song called Full Stop that's like so fucking good. Um, they have probably like 100 monthly listeners on Spotify right now, but dude, they're so good. Shane, I feel like you'd like them. Do you like the band Weatherbox?
Yeah, I'm going to check them out. I write everything down here, and whenever anybody suggests anything, what do you think the first thing I do when I hang up with you is?
Oh, come on, come on. I knew you were a great guy. But yeah, I think the band argument like is comprised, I may be wrong, but I think it's made up of the members from Weatherbox who aren't Brian, the singer.
Okay.
So and that's how I discovered them. So band argument. Full stop. And in my last shout out, it's going to be a band called The Arrival Note from Tampa, Florida. Dude, you have to check them out, Shane. They have a release called Volume 2, and they sound like Texas is the reason.
Oh, come on.
Hey, come on. Come
Wow.
on.
Wow, now you're tugging at heartstrings, man. That's
Hey,
unfair.
like
I'm staring at
everything
Texas
about
is the
them.
Reason poster on my wall from the last time I saw them in concert.
Oh,
But,
come
you know,
on. Come on.
yeah.
Dude, I love Texas is the reason, man. Yeah. They have a song called Do You Know Who You Are or something like that.
Mhm.
Dude, I love that song.
Wow. All right. Good three.
It's your turn now.
Three things for me to check out. All right. My three this week are, my first one is a band called Barely Civil, Wisconsin. I'll label them as indie band, but there's an album called I'll Figure This Out. Pretty awesome.
Shout out.
So check it out. Next band, I will say, the name of the band is Avec Plaisir. Okay. It means with pleasure in French. The name of the band is Avec Plaisir. They are Montreal punk band, I would guess. I would say, you know, we got a label somewhat, but the name
Dude,
of
I love Canadian music.
Yeah. So they're awesome. The name of the album is called An Album. So check that out. And last but not least is a band called Higher Power from Leeds, West Yorkshire. They're labeled as hardcore punk, but I will label them as a nostalgia core band. They have some punk, some, you know, heavy vocals in some of the stuff, and some of their songs are very 90s-esque, bring you back to early days of Jane's Addiction and Quicksand and Smashing Pumpkins. They have that nostalgia core sound in their music, so there's something for everyone on that album. The name of the album is called 27 Miles Underwater. So those are my three.
Hey, you know what? Nostalgia, baby.
Yeah.
Give it to me.
But Justin, I want to say thank you so much for being here. This has been a quick hour for us, and it you know, bleeds into the music you're creating, how easy it is to get along with you and how easy it is to enjoy your music comes through in waves. So appreciate you coming here, opening yourself up, and spending some time with us.
Of course. Now that it's over, I'm like, what the fuck did we talk about? But I mean, honestly, dude, thank you for having me. I've been smiling this entire time during this conversation, so I hope I get to meet you one day, man.
Absolutely, man. This has been a lot of fun, and for everyone out there that's listening, you got to go out, listen to Glazed, and have a great fucking time.
Peace.
Thanks again for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HiddenTracks99. Also, send all your submissions myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Tune in next week. You may find your new favorite band, and don't forget to go out and have a great fucking time.